So I'm down in the basement today, and what I'd like to do is I'm going to swap out the shock upper and lower bushings. The lower is a bearing, the upper I think is just a bushing. Regardless, I've got the kit. I'm gonna pull it out, do both. Might as well do them both at the same time. And if I grab the rear wheel and lift it up and agitate it just a little bit, I can put my hand right next to this heim joint and there's a bunch of slop. So that's how you check to see if it's bad. The upper one, I'm not totally sure if it's actually bad yet, but again, I'm gonna take it apart. Might as well just do them both. I do want to say that there's absolutely no reason to take the bike apart like I have. The subframe's missing, air box is missing. You can do this with the bike fully assembled. I've got a hammer, blowtorch, sockets, grease, Joe Schmo stuff. So I'm gonna use what I have at my disposal. So the first thing we're gonna do is remove the bolts, upper and lower. All right, so there's the shock. Shock came right out. The bolts definitely need some lube, maybe some anti-seize. Right now what we're looking at is a steel spacer, and there's the same thing on the other side, and there should also be some type of a seal. Knock out those spacers and expose what we need to. Alright, so as you can see, these spacers are pretty shot. They've been in there for a while, and the lack of grease, corrosion, they were kind of hard to get out. There is a bunch of crud, and again, a bunch of corrosion. So no doubt it's a good thing that we're doing this. Rubber seal, a gasket, and again, I told you we're doing this the Joe Schmo way, so I've got my gasket removers, aka regular bladed screwdrivers. And I'm gonna watch out the aluminum casting. Typically, if you remove gaskets like this or anything, the other side of the screwdriver can mar up your aluminum. So if you need to, use a piece of wood on the opposing side. So for instance, if I push like this, I might want to put a dummy piece of wood right here to pry against so that I don't disturb this parent aluminum. So there's one, and again, look at all this crap. I mean, there's a bunch of dirt. It's time. Oh, there it is. This one doesn't want to cooperate. Come on, buddy. All right, so the next set of tools we're gonna use is a 20mm socket. We're gonna use this, it's the correct size to fit right in the bike. I know you can't see it right now. And a blowtorch. The blowtorch is hopefully gonna allow the aluminum to expand and the bearing to sort of walk itself out. Oh, and a mallet, which I'm sure you probably have. I have removed the brake line from this little capture device here. Just get it out of the way. Try and pump a little bit of heat into this aluminum. I doubt you can overdo it, only because there's so much aluminum here, it's going to act as a heat sink. So I wouldn't worry about overdoing it, that's for sure. All right, I got my 22mm socket, 6-point, 12-point, doesn't matter. So 22 millimeter actually fits in there like perfect. Look at how gnarly that is. The bearing doesn't really rotate freely. It rotates enough to do its job, but clearly it's clapped out. I'm using some 100 grit sandpaper just to remove some of like the corrosion that's built against the aluminum. This is a brand new heim joint. This is a spherical bearing, and this one's nice and tight. While I've got it out of the bike, I'm gonna put some grease in here and just work it back and forth. And for that, I've got some KTM certified for heavy duty off-road construction equipment. This is the Wood Booger edition, run what you brung. This stuff is gnarly. All right, so I'd say I sufficiently greased it, and I did work it back and forth so that the inside of the bearing has a bunch of grease in it. All right, ladies and gents, I want to make you aware of this. I found it on page 42 of the manual. It says, info, the heim joint of the shock absorber at the swing arm is Teflon coated. It must not be greased with grease or other lubes. Lubes dissolve the Teflon coating, thereby drastically reducing the service life. So this is up to you to figure out what to do. I would assume that this is the KTM original part that's Teflon coated. I really don't know if the all balls or any other aftermarket is going to be coated as well. So that's up to you. Put a layer inside this cavity, hopefully in the future prevent some corrosion. Press this back in, and I use the word press lightly, loosely I should say, because this is more hammer it until it fits. I'm gonna clean out one spot on the outer race of the bearing just so that I can use the depth portion of a vernier caliper. 692. All right, so according to my numbers, the bearing is too far to the bike's right side. So now I just gotta send it home the other direction. All right, so now I'm basically even on both sides. I've got like 7.46 mil on the right side and 7.49-ish on the left. Again, in the video there, 751. So again, you got to remember that it's a spherical bearing, so it'll make up a fraction of a millimeter like that. So I think we're good. That's close enough for government work. This side that you're looking at is going to go towards the center of the swing arm. This side is going to be the exterior side. And since I still have a glove on and this off-road equipment heavy duty Moly B grease is just so fun to play with, I'm going to pack a little bit more in there. We're going to insert this seal. I've got a piece of pine. You're gonna go until it bottoms out. There it is. So the only thing we have left to do is insert these spacers, and you guessed it, more grease. You see it pop right back out? It's because there it is. It's like hydro locked. So at this point, the bottom heim joint has been successfully replaced. We have new seals in there and new spacers. In the effort to keep the videos somewhat short, I'm gonna separate it into two parts. If all you needed to do was swap out the heim joint, which is the lower one, the one you just saw swapped, by all means, just bolt up your shock and you'll be good to go. And torque it if you have a torque wrench, that would be the smart thing. So if you want to continue on and watch the video for the upper bearing being replaced, by all means, that'll be linked in the description below. At any rate, I appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.